Most excellent.
Is this Smithy's first time with us? Or did you do one without me?
It is, yes. Hi, I am a person. I've been living with this for quite a long time now, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was born with it.
Born with a mouse and keyboard in your hand?
Either one, yes.
Hey, it's only fair. Ferb had a mouse in his hand by the time he was like 2 or 3.
Go ahead and relate the story of his first gaming experience there, Slade.
World of Warcraft, the original one. And I showed him how to click on the little critters that ran around the map. So he'd click on it and it'd make its noise, and he thought that was hilarious. And he just kept clicking on it, and suddenly, boom, the critter blows up. And he jumps, and then he just starts cackling with laughter and starts scrolling around the map looking for more critters to blow up.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he started early.
So that's when he started to torture virtual creatures.
You know what? Creatures, inanimate objects, other anonymous people on the internet. It's all the same. Doesn't that provide a little segue now for the topic?
Let's see now, Smithy, what was that topic that you had thought of?
It is basically relationships in gaming, such as the kinds of people you play with as opposed to the virtual characters. So, like, the dynamic of playing with a romantic partner, such as a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, or playing with people you don't know online, or playing with friends.
Perhaps even how it's different between friends you've made in game and friends that you already had.
True.
Because I will say that there can be a difference in the gaming world.
Yeah, I've been there. Back when I played World of Warcraft for a while, got into a guild with a real life friend of mine. And it was the first time I'd ever got into some serious raiding. And so, we had a guild, and he had past experience with all these guys, and he knew them all. And it's just like, it was that situation where you log on and everybody just knows everybody. And you get almost close to people. But the weird thing is like, as soon as that medium is gone, those people cease to exist. And it's like, nobody misses anybody. It's kind of weird.
And for me, it would be, of course, the release of EverQuest. And I can quickly say that, yeah, I picked up friends real fast. We do a lot of stuff together. Something comes up, and one or the other is not there anymore, and then it just gets dropped, and you never see them again. And it's very odd.
Yep.
In fact,
for me. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that my very first guild in EverQuest in '99, there was a couple of us, and and we were together a lot, always doing stuff. And I remember the online name of one of the guys in the guild, and I would occasionally just sit there and look and see, is he still using that name and what is he doing? And I found him at the beginning of when Warhammer Online was coming up. So I says, oh, his guild is in Warhammer Online. They're on this server. They're playing on the side of Order. You know what? I'll get the game. I'll jump in and I'll say hi and see if he remembers me. And I finally hunted him down, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Yeah. And then off he went. And that was the end of it.
That's how it goes. It's like you can almost get really close to these people, and then just like it can vanish so easily. I think for me, my first online experience was actually Halo 2. My brother and I had gotten the game, and I had no sort of internet for gaming until not long after that. And I remember I first got on, and I didn't have a headset. So people would speak, and it would come through my TV, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing that, like, I'm playing with other people on the internet.
Yeah.
and they're like talking to me. Like a guy drove up in a vehicle called the Warthog, and he's like, "Yo, dude, with no mic, hop in." I was like, "This is awesome!" And then we promptly drove off and got killed.
Probably because you couldn't give him any verbal warning of something.
Who knows? I don't even remember.
We should be good, but I just realized I was recording through the wrong microphone.
Failure.
Hey, that was your fault for coming over here.
Failure, sir.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna pause it and double check
We should be good. I see it picking up.
from before. Oh, okay. So you've still got both of them on there. All right.
Yeah, I had both of them going. I just had the wrong one muted. But yeah, I have been picking it up either in the old mic or this mic, so we're good.
Don't fail me now.
And they don't sound that drastically different, so yeah. But yeah, being having that interaction between random people, it's definitely different. Because I've known Smithy. In fact, probably Smithy's the only one who I have a relationship in real life outside of an internet community. And it's definitely different. Things don't seem, I mean, it's not to me that a huge difference. We definitely relate to things a lot better than like say the Bummers or Ferb. But mostly because we know each other.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to sit there and say that community you guys built, probably it wasn't necessarily focused on a single game, so that's kind of why it may have stuck a little bit better than before. Because I was thinking about that fact that I have been a part of guilds that were multi-game communities, but I was only playing the one game, and I never had any involvement with anyone outside of that. So when things, when it stopped, there was nothing really for me to do there. Whereas, I actually jumped into y'all's little community chat thing without playing a game with any of y'all. I was just, Ferb's dad, and you were like getting some amusement from that interaction.
I remember that. I remember when you first popped into Ventrilo, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Wow.
Father of Ferb is here. I forget what Ferb was doing at the time. I think he was
We were playing
doing
Tribes too.
it was it Meltdown or was it the construction server?
Meltdown 2. I didn't play Construct that much at all.
Okay. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm having to shoo Ferb away now.
But yeah, I remember that you were we were all like, "Come play Tribes 2 with us, Ferb's dad." Like these excited little kids.
I remembered I actually got in once because I went and grabbed my old media and just installed it and waited for the patch thing to go up. And it's like I jumped into the game. I was like, okay, this is vaguely familiar. And then I'm like, wait, how do I chat with team? How do I chat with all? I forgot the buttons. And then somebody came up and shot me.
That's how it goes.
I remember how to ski in the game. I just can't remember how to do anything else. How to swap weapon modes or anything. Like maybe I'll just get the mortar and just hug one of the green things.
Gosh, that all reminds me of our PlanetSide days back when Gamer House was real into PlanetSide as a whole community.
Oh yeah, we could have several tanks together and air support, and
that was quite enjoyable. I was actually thinking about installing that a few days ago.
I will not be joining you, my friend.
About to say, then I came to my senses.
It was good while it lasted.
Yeah, I played, I guess, about maybe 6 months ago. I guess it was the last time you played, Smithy, and it was good for a couple of days, but there's no content there. They haven't added any new continents. There's very few weapons. All the weapons still looked exactly the same. I mean, basically, it was just they threw a whole bunch of weapons into the mix, saying they were different, but they looked almost exactly the same and had the same content. That was it. So it didn't stick with me when I tried to play again.
Well, the thing about that game is the players are the content.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, they could still have the same stuff, but you know what? If there's decent activity going on, and it's not, doesn't have the broken crap that we all hated, then it'd be okay. I just have issues with Daybreak itself because of what they've done in other games, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done with them.
But yeah, that was a community in its own weird way.
Oh yeah,
There were a lot. I guess PlanetSide 2 was my first introduction to a toxic community.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not. It's nowhere near toxic levels.
It was, well,
I mean,
for me it was. I mean, I'm coming from, Gamer House, a group of guys that most of us have our heads on our shoulders and we're not just utter jerks in chat or whatever. And
I've heard stories about y'all's Minecraft servers.
oh my goodness, please don't
That
remind me.
and you're saying that
I
PlanetSide 2 was
forgot
more
about
toxic
that.
than that?
I forgot about that.
Nah, so you guys haven't gotten into something like League of Legends.
Yeah, actually, we were into it for about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ferb and Drake maybe played it for the longest out of all of us, but I don't even think they play anymore, do they?
I've not seen them play that in next to forever. In fact, back in the day, they actually get dragging me in for like 2 games, and then I was said, "Oh, okay, this is fun," but I'm done.
Yeah, you'd have to really stick with it for a long time to enjoy it. I mean, there's so much to learn. But you want to talk about... Now, here's an interesting thing. Talking about playing with people online, playing with people you know and all that. Games that start getting into a meta. And this always happens when you get into a competitive game of any type. And I'm sure that PlanetSide probably has this on some level or another, although it's so big, I don't know. But a meta. You jump into a game like League of Legends, you might be able to have fun and do what you want for a while. But eventually people, especially when there's a pro scene, they start figuring out the quote-unquote best way of doing things. And suddenly it's not about having fun anymore.
It's about knowing your role.
Exactly. Knowing what you're supposed to do. Hey, you can't buy that item. Hey, you're not supposed to go that route. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. And it's like, well, at what point did we stop having fun and did this start becoming a job?
But that is fun to certain people. It's really weird, but there are people that seek that out. They're not happy unless they're making themselves kind of miserable.
I suppose that's probably true, that people want that kind of thing. They like to fit, they like to find the best. But
yeah, I wonder who's like that.
Who?
Hmm.
Who are you pointing fingers at? Oh, Smithy?
Now, there's a reasonable limit for me. Like in League of Legends, okay. If you are a magic casting character, you do not buy a physical damage item. Even though technically the benefit would apply to your character, it's not going to buff your character's abilities, which, if you're trying to maximize their potential, is pointless. But is it not hilarious when you're playing a little girl who's supposed to be shooting giant fireballs and she's hitting you in the face with a sword instead, which she's not skilled at, and she's winning anyway? Like, that's hilarious. But you can't do that without getting flamed because it quote unquote doesn't work.
Yeah, there is a good line, I guess. Mr. I have killed animals in Ark because they don't have that certain stat.
Okay, well, when a dinosaur has wasted 50% of its stats, it needs to die.
I know, I know.
RNG strikes again.
Oh, let me tell you, when a T-Rex can safely explore the bottom of the ocean because of how much oxygen it has invested in, you've got problems.
Can you still ride it while you're down there?
Yes.
You don't want to, though.
Ooh.
I have had a T-Rex that had so much oxygen that I could take it to the deepest parts of the ocean and it could live down there for a while and kill other creatures down there and then come back without drowning.
You know, it's all that extra space in its brain case it's using to store oxygen, right?
Exactly.
Or, you know, with a pteranodon, like I tamed, I guess, about a month ago. Worst stat allotment of any animal I've ever seen in that game. And I think its main stat was oxygen. It had put most of its point into oxygen. And they can't even go in the ocean. You try to get anywhere near water, and they buck you off and say, no, I'm not doing it. No, nope, 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 nope. You can swim on your own.
I'm pretty sure I drank a glass of water on the back of a pteranodon one time and it kicked me off.
Yeah, it's a bit of a silly threshold, if you ask me.
What does it do when it rains?
Melts.
It implodes.
It implodes after it melts.
What a world! What a world!
So, speaking of gaming with romantic options, have you had any experience with that recently, Smithy?
What's that like?
For me, it's been. I don't think so yet. I don't think we've really played anything yet. We keep talking about it.
Really?
She
I thought
actually
you
plays
guys-
Don't Starve.
I thought you guys were playing Overwatch.
She's got it for PlayStation.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah. I
Oh,
can
wait,
already
this
tell
is
you,
a-
though.
She's a console gamer.
She's not. I wouldn't even technically classify her as a gamer. Now, she is. From what she's told me, she's like the ultimate gamer's girlfriend because she actually likes to watch like story games and stuff. So like we actually have already talked about when we can me playing like the first BioShock because she's curious about the story and then she would literally just watch me play it. So I could enjoy playing a single player game and she would actually have fun watching me play and learning the story, which is interesting.
You know, that's something that we could film, and then she could watch it.
I think doing it live with her and me would probably be better.
Oh, I see how it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's getting into the whole gaming with a romantic partner thing. Like,
I am not going
It's-
to game with you, okay? I'm not your romantic partner.
no, you are not. That is a fact.
You don't have to say it
I-
like that.
For one thing, you can't do those nice walks on the beach with you, Shrike.
That's the thing.
I hate you.
We go for a stroll, you go for a roll.
Yes, yes, we'll put it that way. Actually, it was really cool when we went to the beach last year. There were these really weird-looking beach wheelchairs. I mean, the
Oh, weird.
tires on these things are just massive, and their entire frame is built out of PVC piping. It's really, really weird looking. But it worked perfectly fine. I couldn't push myself. Somebody had to push me. But the surface area on the tires was just big enough to where they wouldn't get stuck in the sand. It was perfect. I
Did
guess
it float?
I'll put a picture. Yeah, it probably would actually. I'll put a picture of it, I guess, on the podcast when I edit it. But it was really, really just strange. It's not something you would expect from a wheelchair. Definitely something I wouldn't want to push on a flat surface. You can definitely tell it was just made for Sandy. If you try to use it on anything else, it would just not work. But yeah, I thought that you guys were gaming together like that. Well, then who do we know who is gaming with a girlfriend?
Well, I will be soon, in theory.
Are you
Because-
gonna be somebody's girlfriend?
No, but I will have been gaming with my girlfriend. And because she plays Don't Starve occasionally, but she's also been talking about playing Portal 2, which would be really interesting for us,
Yes.
Warren says, as he fondly remembers all the times that Strike Breaking let him die.
Oh, that was awesome.
I developed trust issues from you.
I can see that. Yeah.
Sounds like Minecraft experiences then.
I'm just a bad person, I guess. If I can find a way to mess with my friends, I will do it. I have a messed up sense of humor.
That's all right. That's all right. So, Smithy, since we haven't spoken in a while, what are you playing now?
Well, as you may have noticed, I've gotten a girlfriend recently.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that.
You're playing her?
Congratulations, I guess, or whatever.
Thank you, or whatever. So I haven't been playing anything that requires a lot of commitment as much. A lot of Overwatch, actually.
Yeah, so every time I see you on Discord, it's Overwatch. It's either Overwatch or you're idle.
Yeah, Discord launches with my computer, so I just
let it exist.
I just leave it there. It's not hurting anyone.
Hurts me.
I'm sorry, but I need you to endure so that I can leave my program running mindlessly.
It's all part of the plan.
I would
Uh.
like to play something a little bit more like I have all these grand plans for Ark. I want to explore this new giant map and get into the ocean, but it takes time and it takes commitment. And
game take time and commitment. You got to be talking about something different.
no, you know what? You're right. Ark is actually you can jump on and complete the game in a few minutes if you wanted to. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Has there been some new kerfluffle in that community I don't know about?
There always is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the
It's-
last thing I remember seeing was that thing about the expansion. And that's the last time I saw anything from the community.
Honestly, they came out with an expansion because they did too much, like too many giveaways and stuff like that, and they threw a lot of money at the community, which is cool, but they shot themselves in the foot because then they were like, okay, well, we did too much. So they came out with an expansion. They came out with all these new creatures and whatnot that is mythical and stuff. You got wyverns and griffins and pretty cool expansion. But there was an uproar in the community. They're like, whoa, this game's not even out yet, and you're already throwing DLC at us for money. Like, but what they actually did recently was they came out with a map called Ragnarok, which is this gargantuan map. Like, it dwarfs both of the other maps. And it includes, to my knowledge, everything that the DLC had. So, and it's free. So I could see mixed reviews about that. Like, well, for the people that got the expansion, they're going to be a little salty. But then for all the uprisers, they, like myself, are happy that they came out with this awesome map and included all that stuff in it for free. So I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to me like they just have marketing issues. They don't know how to manage their funds properly. Just from what I've seen, I haven't really researched much into what they're doing, why they're doing things. This is just from information I've gathered from trolling community forums and whatnot. But It just seems like they haven't managed funds properly. I mean, like as you said, I remember when they did back-to-back consecutive, just thousands of dollars giveaways for the best modder and the best mod out there, which I'm not sure if that entirely was a bad thing. It might have actually increased their profits. I mean, they might have had a bunch of people buy the game in order to try to enter this modding competition. I don't know. Um, but it just seems like it was a lot back to back. And so I can see them having financial issues from doing that. But I think another thing a lot of people are just excited about, not excited in a good way, but just, anxious about is they've recently had their price hike to go from $30 to $60, which was fully expected. I mean, they told us when we were buying the game that, you get it early access now, but we're hiking the price up when it's released. But I don't think people were expecting this indie early access game to hike itself up to $60, the price of a AAA game. And for the amount of content that's in the game itself, to me personally, it didn't seem like it was a wise decision because there wasn't much content for me to justify spending $60 on it, and then another $15 on top of that if I want to pay DLC. It really, I mean,
I'm curious. Does that mean that your client that you had from the early access is no longer valid?
it's valid. Yeah, people who have
Oh, yeah.
invested in it before, they still have the full game. But now anybody who doesn't own it, who has to buy it, they have to pay full price, which is $60.
Yep.
You know what? 45, 50 maybe.
Yep. That's exactly what I said, 45 or 50. But full 60, it's number one, not a AAA game. And number two, when they did that, it wasn't quote unquote officially released, and it was still a buggy, very buggy game. I mean, I was really surprised at the amount of bugs that were actually in the game since before my last playthrough. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, when I log off on like a bridge or something, when I log back on, there's 100% chance I will be plummeting off that bridge. There, something about the ragdoll physics in that game, when you log off and you log back on, something happens. And I actually think that it was their attempt to fix problems with that exact thing. And their fix actually made it more consistent, I think.
Yeah, because I've only ever seen that, or the playthrough before my last one. I only ever saw that whenever we were logging off on a boat. And then, I'd be playing the game, and then suddenly, Smithy has been killed when he's been at work for the past 4 hours. His body just decided it needed to warp through. It might have been, the player going in and out of the stasis, the active player.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because when you go out of a certain range, everything goes into stasis, where it's not rendered, it's just a bunch of numbers running in the background, and then when you get close enough, then the action sequences, I guess, start again. They restart. And at that interval, I think might be the cause of maybe the bug, because it seemed like it was whenever I was leaving that would happen, and then when I'd come back to the base. But kind of surprised they haven't fixed that this late in the game.
The whole stasis concept is interesting. I mean, I get it, because if everything in the game was constantly rendered and being processed, nobody could play it. It's too much. But it is kind of strange. Like, I don't know the values or like what represents your character. Like, I remember you could not keep things in a enclosed, fenced-off area, because when you left and came back, it's like the game predicted where they would have been. even if there were no fences there. And they would almost always be outside of the fences, rendering walling things in virtually pointless.
It's still that way. I looked it up the other day.
Yeah, and it seems like such a simple thing. And I think they have a lot of kinks to work out with stasis, is what it is.
Yeah, it seems like majority of their issues, their bugs, are involving the stasis concept, which is a cool concept. But I mean, you and I, in our playthrough right now, we have a Quetzalcoatlus just resting in the Arctic in stasis because we just if we go anywhere near it, there's a chance that something will kill it. But as long as it's in stasis, it's safe.
Well, that's like a time I was swimming through the ocean on the back of my Spinosaurus, and I got snuck upon by jellyfish, which, for those of you who don't know, in Ark, when the jellyfish stings the dinosaur you're on, it paralyzes them temporarily, which is completely reapplied every time they sting, which they sting over and over and over. So it's a non-stop paralysis that knocks you off your dinosaur. They killed me, knocked me off my Spino. By all rights, all accounts, my Spino should have been dead. But when I went back to it, when it came out of stasis, apparently the game brought my Spinosaur out of stasis maybe before the jellyfish. When I got back, my Spinosaurus had surfaced to get oxygen, which it shouldn't have been able to do if it was being attacked. So there are those weird times, like you just mentioned, our Quetzal is in the middle of nowhere, and it's safe because it's in stasis. So that's a neat concept, but it's a double-edged sword. Like, for all the times that it's saving our dinosaurs, even though it doesn't make sense, like, there's a lot of weirdness.
Yeah, we've had to log in and re-item ourselves the items that we died with when we were logged off, because we died because we were pulled in and out of stasis.
And that is why I don't log off with stuff. I get completely naked and then pass out.
Yep, that's the best way to log off in Ark. Take everything off, your pants, your clothes, everything. Nothing in your inventory. You are completely just stark naked. Log off, you're good to go.
And then you have to log on, you have to get all your stuff back out. And don't even get me started, actually do, on the Chinese raiders. Holy crap.
Oh yes, please get started.
Now, Slade, you said that the last uprising or anything exciting you heard about Ark was the expansion?
Yes. Which was what, last year sometime?
I think so. Had you heard about the Chinese raiders?
Nope.
Oh, let me tell you about the Chinese raiders. So, it sounds racist. Like, if you get onto the forums and you, like, during the time all this was happening, you would think people were just being flat out racist. But for some reason, it legitimately was all these Chinese players were getting on. They were forming these alpha tribes that were just impenetrable. I mean, we're talking obsessive amounts of time and effort putting in to becoming the alpha tribes, and they were just royally screwing everyone they could. They were doing anything in their power. They were ruining entire official servers, and I mean, it was so bad. People were getting on the forums. The game was getting overwhelmingly negative reviews for a while.
Just to clear something up, it wasn't things that they put actual effort and time into doing. They were using dev tools that they shouldn't have had, that were hacked in, or did whatever they could to get them, to basically give themselves everything that they needed in order to become the alpha tribe. It wasn't effort put into the game, and that's what people were mostly upset about. If they had done it legitimately, then they have no reason to complain. But the fact that they were hacking their way through the game, just, it completely made it unplayable. And what else was annoying was a lot of the reasons they were doing it was because of the political atmosphere between the US and China. I remember getting on and seeing them just go off on everybody in the chat about how this is happening and that's happening and it's America's fault that this is happening and things like that. It's America's fault that we're hacking you and doing this and making Ark miserable for you, which just utterly ticked me off because they seem to not understand the concept that a lot of the times in an online community, it's a neutral atmosphere. Most of the people are probably not going to either, number one, know what you're talking about, or number two, care. Probably
They were
because
doing it was deliberately motivated. There's something else going on there.
that's what was just so annoying. Because, definitely being politically neutral, it's just annoying to see, my playtime screwed up because of these, children doing whatever they could to make life miserable.
Yep, the Chinese hackers. And I saw some of their bases. Now, I didn't play on an official server, and they couldn't really get a hold on unofficial servers because the admins would kick their butts.
Oh, yeah.
But I can imagine, with the amount of time and effort it takes to get anything done in Ark. I mean, I was talking to somebody on the forums one day about breeding. This person had legitimately, with base breeding mechanics, bred and fully imprinted 2 Rexes because the Rex laid a fertilized egg and it hatched twins. Now, with base breeding mechanics in that game, it actually takes about 3.5 real life days to raise a Rex from hatching it. And every 4 hours or so, they're going to want you to do something special to get what the game calls imprinting. And if you do that, you get special bonuses, and they're really strong and they're unusually powerful. And it's cool. 3.5 real life days. This person was setting alarms every 4 hours. They had to wake up in the middle of the night, log onto Ark, take care of both of the Rexes. They had to keep them fed, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is a game that is loaded with stuff like that many people cannot even enjoy because it's unreasonable to access. I mean, I can't do that. So imagine how much effort like that was completely negated. You log on one day, and because of some hackers, those 2 Rexes, for example, are just dead. You just spent 3 days waking up in the middle of the night and throughout the day, and they're gone because some people were hacking because, you know what, screw America, even though you have nothing to do with what they're doing.
You know what? Yeah, I'm not surprised. That level of interaction is something I'm actually looking into when I consider a game. Like, there's 3 MMO games in development right now that I've been watching, and I put a little bit of money into 2 of them. And I was looking at the 3rd one because I'd seen some of the content they'd recently put out from their alpha testing and the mechanics they were showing. I was like, man, that looks really interesting. And then I started digging around on the forums, before I was thinking about am I going to support this game or not? And it's like, oh, flagged PvP, open world flagged PvP. Okay, you know what? You just told me I don't want to get involved.
Yeah, you guys dealt with that in Black Desert. I actually never got that far. And
in Arcade.
Yeah, I already know. Like, I liked Black Desert Online a lot, especially when they came out with the Samurai class. I don't know what the actual name was, but I've loved those. Like in Final Fantasy and all that, I've always loved the Samurai class, whatever. I love the aesthetic. But the open world flagged PvP, like, that is forced, forget that mess. Like, people are so selfish and hateful. They just want to log on and ruin somebody's day when they can. And in a game where you have no choice but to be vulnerable to that, yeah, I'm out.
I mean, I learned some lessons in earlier games, and it just took me a while to realize it. And Black Desert was the one I got to where it's like, you know what? This same thing always happens, and you know what? I don't need to mess with this anymore.
Well, in its defense, I mean, you're not completely vulnerable to it.
No, no,
if
I know.
if you actually put time and effort into playing your class the way it needs to be played, which then again, where's the fun in that as opposed to playing the way you want to play it? Then
Mm-hmm.
you have a good chance. But like say the random guy who just puts points into what he wants to level up or whatever he wants to do, it's probably not going to equal out in his favor in PvP situations, which is the sad thing. But in its defense, I mean, if you're ready for it, then it's not a huge deal, I guess. But me personally, number one, I really, really suck in a game that involves PvP. Unless it's actually specifically for PvP. Like PlanetSide 2, oh, I love PlanetSide 2. And I, to myself, was reasonably good at it. But any other game where it's not the requirement, but just an option, I absolutely bite.
That's why I was looking at some of the Realm versus Realm games. I'll do that. But you know what? I'm not going to do the open world again. You know, it's like if I look at someone and I'm like, oh, it's like in PlanetSide 2, I'm like, oh, you're wearing purple underwear. That means you're one of those Vanu people or the VS people, and I got to start shooting now. Whereas if, you know, open world PvP, I'm like, oh, okay, you're an elf, but that doesn't mean anything. Oh, now your name's red. I guess that tells me what I needed to know beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the crappy thing because, okay, so take what you said, for example. You're playing PlanetSide. You come across an enemy member. You 100% know this is an enemy. They're going to try to kill me. Or at least you 90% know. There's that wild chance that maybe they're just goofing off and they're not going to shoot you. But 99 times out of 100, they're going to shoot you. But an open world PvP, you got to be on edge. You know, this person comes around and maybe you're farming. And how do you know if they're going to be hostile or not? Like, you're always flagged. And so they come around and you have to look at them sideways. Are they going to attack you? Are they not going to attack you? Maybe you should attack them first. But then what if, you know, and it's just this whole mind game that I could really do without.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Okay, well, we are approaching, I guess, 50 minutes. Time actually went by faster than I expected. So, I guess we'll go ahead and call it from here. Smithy, it was good having you this Friday, and hopefully we will have you again in the future.
Yes, I enjoyed it very much, gentlemen.
Yep. All right, we shall see you later, everybody.
Bye.